Hello, Ajit.
Yes, yes, Roman. Good
We see,
evening.
good evening. We see each other day and evening and sometimes even night. And sometimes it happens that we have acute cases. So it happened a few days ago. One lady called us very late in Israel time. It was late, and in India it was even later. And she's from United States, and the story is that she removed her gallbladder, and she was very, very stressed about it and distressed. And so our team contacted you, and you took a case. I just want to tell you that the first impression we received already is that she feels better. I would say that she calmer, and the treatment is continuing. Please tell us about this case a little bit more and what we can learn from this case.
Okay, this is a case of a woman, 43 years of age, who migrated from Ukraine to United States. She was operated for removal of the gallbladder because of the multiple calculi, and she had cholecystitis also. She was admitted twice in a hospital for severe pain in the GB area. So actually, clinically, she is a candidate for gallbladder removal because the stones were large also. However, after the surgery was over, what was important in this case was a overwhelming anxiety with sadness that came out. And the feeling was that what is going to happen to me now in future? It was like, you see, this is a very big crime blunder which I have done, and now my health will be at a much risk because of the removal of the gallbladder. And she was constantly ruminating over this thought. In the interview, she was not allowing me to think, to ask the questions. It was a constant same thinking process, governed by anxiety, governed by future, governed by sadness, and governed as if she has done something wrong. Now we have to understand that it is like a, you see, injury to the mind, which, you see, penetrates deeply and brings on to the fore something which is hidden. You know, our life is always characterized by the events. Some events are small, but we make them big. Some events are very big, but we make them very small. This is entirely a filtration process with every individual. Removal of the gallbladder, actually, she is a good candidate for it, but she took it in a wrong way. I always say that when the reality is not acceptable, then the problems are much more with an individual. And to remain in reality is also very difficult for a delusion like human being. So the situation is that it is not a very serious issue. We have many patients whose gallbladder has been removed, and it is said in the surgery that in the adult life, so much need of the gallbladder is not there, because gallbladder is not brain or heart or spleen or kidney. Now, the whole issue we have to understand that the incidence has occurred, and now the system has gone into a state. This state we have to define thoroughly. Now, what is this state? First, anxiety state. This anxiety is extremely overpowering. This anxiety is associated with sadness. You know, there are two types of anxiety. First, agitational anxiety. Well, there is anxiety with restlessness, with mobility. The mind is with a lot of thinking patterns, and always the patient goes into motion and locomotion. There may be spasm, convulsions, maybe loquacity. So the system is in motion more. This is called as a agitational anxiety. The second anxiety is called as a depressive anxiety. Here you will find that the system becomes dull, passive, indifferent, and sad. In this patient, both items of agitation and depression were shown by the patient, but more depressive one. So there is a definitive amount of anxiety for the future. Then it is also associated with sadness. So these are the two characteristics which this patient exhibited soon after the removal of the gallbladder. It's like a reactive depression. You know, reactive depression is a very big studied phenomenon about the mind where after grief or after business loss or after a big event, patient goes into a state of depression. This is called as a reactive depression. Usually it lasts for 2 weeks to 4 weeks. In many of these cases, without even any treatment, they could feel better. But in this case, it came more as an acute episode and needed to be addressed because she was constantly yelling, lamenting upon, crying in between, showing the same type of anxiety, what is going to happen to me, how it happened to me. So this way we have to understand what exactly is happening to the state. So I made a repertorization of these two rubrics, which give the essence of the case. So I will show you the
Yeah, just
sharing.
I
You
will
have,
give you
yeah,
the
yeah,
screen, and meanwhile I just will confirm what you said.
yeah,
Even after you prescribe the remedy, of course before, but even after, our team in a hotline who are treating all logistics and the administrative work, they received so many letters from this lady, and all these letters, big letters and long letters about the same state. It's like, I'm anxious, what will happen? And it's like you are reading the same very big book from the beginning once more and once more and once more.
correct, correct. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is this is a kind of a rumination. The patient develops a pattern, and once he becomes a slave of the pattern, mental or physical, then we have to treat this pattern, not only the symptoms. Patterns are very important because they show you the repeated phenomenon of the same kind. Periodicity is there, the same cycle is being repeated. This is the reason why I wrote a chapter over pattern understanding in the book of body language and homeopathy. The same you could use to acute disease, to the mind, to the disposition, to the behavior of an individual in his life. Yeah, so I will share the screen.
Yeah.
Are you able to see now?
Yes.
1 second, I will stop this one. Yeah. So you see now, mind, anxiety, future about. Then mind, anxiety, future about, sadness with. And the first remedy that comes up is Cicuta virosa. Then comes sulfur, staphysagrina, natrum carbonicum, tabacum, then clematis, centauris, bryonia, causticum, natrum muriaticum, calcarea carbonicum, spongia. Now, you have to understand that a host of remedies may come up, but we want to give a remedy which really correspond to the state. In the original Materia Medica with Cicuta virosa, what is written is very important. You will find that
Ajit,
patient, yeah,
may I ask you to increase a little bit the repertorization and to
yeah,
fulfill the screen? Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, great, great. Thank you.
yeah. So you will find that what is written in the original Materia Medica is pessimistic under Cicuta virosa borrows trouble from the future. The patient borrows troubles from the future. So the future becomes the determinator, the influencer, not the past, not the present. In Netra Muraticum, it is related to the UC past. In Cicuta virosa, it is related to the future. What is going to happen in the future? What is going to happen in the future? And as if something bad, something sad is going to happen in the future. This is Cicuta virosa. Therefore, the first rubric is about future. Borrowing, as if you are inviting something today when you don't know the future. And you take something from the future which may be sad, you don't know, and you have no control over it. This linkage of the mental state with the future and bringing on the sadness out of it, the anxiety and sadness out of it. This combination you have to understand very well in Cicuta virosa. There is an anxiety and there is a sadness, and both are related to the future. As if something sad will occur in the future. Now, it could be developed imaginary, or it could be developed because of some event in the life. This is a disposition being developed. So this event of the gallbladder removal, although as a physician, as a clinician, you know that it has no more value. For the patient, it becomes a value because the patient suffers from the anxiety neurosis with depression. So this is a classical case of acute psychotic episode of anxiety associated with depression. This is also called as a depressive neurosis in psychology. So we are treating an acute psychotic episode of this. Now, Cicuta, although it has a chronic constitutional UC depth like belladonna, it is moreover used as an acute remedy. You are using Cicuta more for the sake of convulsions, opisthotonous convulsions. Maybe you will find epilepsy and childish characters. This is what we understand about Cicuta. But Cicuta is much deeper than that. Now, there are two bipolar characters of Cicuta. First is gentle, soft, calm, and opposite violent, rage, fury. So this we have to understand very well. She was very gentle at one level. She didn't use any abusiveness. Although she was driven by anxiety, she was not angry at all. She's not angry against the doctors who perform the surgery. This is very important to
She is
understand.
very polite. She's very polite to all of us, to staff,
Yeah.
to
This is, you have to understand the bipolarity. When disturbed, they can go for violent. Otherwise, they can maintain their mild and gentle status. So this is one great characteristic of the Cicuta to understand. The second one is you will find uh, being excitable, even impulsive. They finally culminate into brain fag. And then with the brain fag, they can become indifferent. Like this interview, if you see, it is associated with sadness. Now, it is very easy to understand why this sadness will culminate into indifference with a kind of a brain fag. Because this state is like you will find Arnica montana. In Arnica, the journey is from hypersensitivity to hypersensitivity. And through this hypersensitivity, Arnica montana goes to indifference. In this indifference, you see things, I have nothing. I have no any complaint of. I am very healthy. This side is a culmination further from hypersensitivity to hypersensitivity. Here, indifference is present, but much more activity is present of the mind. So not this state of the indifference has culminated into. So this brain fag finally could be the result of this excitability of the mind. So this journey of Cicuta, we have to understand very well. The uh, other side of the coin is you will find the funny side of Cicuta. The funny side of Cicuta is making funny gesticulations, making jokes, laughing causeless, laughing immoderate, laughing in a silly and stupid and childish way. So the Cicuta patient may appeal to you as one who laughs, who make you laugh. There is no big understanding and maturity and rationality. It is just a laughing one. And you know, in Cicuta, he likes the laughing toys. Rather, the toy could be a very simple one, but he will make you laugh with the small toy. And you will wonder why he is laughing and making joke with the small toy. Because the toy becomes a laughing toy. Are you able to understand the state of the mind? The objects become the users to go for laughing. So father becomes an object I can laugh upon. Mother becomes a object of laughing. These are not only the toys, but also the people. This is Cicuta Virosa. The Cicuta Virosa childishness is not a you see Barata Carbonicum childishness. It is close to cannabis indica in other ways. Now, there is other side.
Sorry,
That is
Ajit,
stubbornness.
we
Yeah,
have this joke, you laugh from the finger. You
yeah,
show your finger, and this is
yeah,
a cicuta, joy
yeah.
and the toy and laugh together.
Correct. And you know, uh, one more characteristic of the Cicuta, it is suddenness. You know, Cicuta spasm, epilepsy, anxiety, even anger, they are very sudden. So
And
they
the
make you
trauma of injury of the head, for
correct,
example.
correct, correct. And you have to understand here trauma of two types. Trauma, first physical trauma,
Mhm. Just a
brain
second,
and
Ajit.
spinal cord.
It was a laughy
Yeah,
interruption of
yeah.
cicuta style.
So you will find that the trauma in Cicuta virosa is not only the physical trauma to the spinal cord, to the brain, to the nerves, but it's also to the mind. This case gives you the mental trauma of removal of the gallbladder. Now, with this trauma, there is excitability of the mind. In a way, Cicuta has excitability of the nerves to produce the convulsions, the epilepsy. So at the mind level, the same state. At the physical level, same state. So we have to understand the basic action of Cicuta. And in this basic action, there is a pattern of suddenness. Abrupt behavior is a characteristic of Cicuta. They are with you and they are suddenly changing the whole, you see, scenario. They are moody and the whole theme is very different one at the different level. This is also Cicuta virosa. And then what I want to, you see, give you the journey of Cicuta is this sadness is so deep in Cicuta that they cannot tolerate the other people laughing. This
It's
is
the
a
opposite side,
abrupt
the opposite side of it.
this side.
May I ask you to give me a screen? I will show you some pictures of cicuta.
Yeah. So should I stop the
Yeah,
share?
yeah,
Yeah.
and I will show. Yeah, so we talked about state of laughing, of everything from finger, from toy, from joy, to not be able to accept people who laughs. Oops. This is Cicuta.
Yeah. Yeah. Look beautiful, you see.
Yeah. Please, Ajit, continue about journey of Cicuta.
Yeah. The journey of Cicuta, you will find, is there cannot see the other people being happy. How you are happy? Because I'm not happy. This is like Ambra Gricia. And Ambra Gricia is also excitable. But then in Ambra, he contracts the lack of go and the brain fat very soon and very deep than Cicuta Virosa. So it's like you see, our patient could be today in Cicuta Virosa and could be totally cured with Cicuta. Or if he goes on lingering with and he ruminates over the sadness, then we have to change the remedy. And from Cicuta, it can go to the other remedy like Ambra Gracia. This is the relationship of the remedies which is getting developed in the Mater America. Even a one sentence in the original drug proving can give us a better appraisal of the remedy's action, and the profound depth of the action can give us the culmination of it, how it could go further and give us a plethora of symptoms.
So can you stress once more the difference at this deep state of Cicuta and when it will go to Ambra?
Yeah.
In
First
the
thing,
beginning, it's lighty and laughy, and then
yeah,
he doesn't accept laughing faces and even ignore it. And then when will be step to Ambra?
yeah. Now the first thing is that this funny state is then followed by the state of indifference, stupidity, childishness, no interest. And then what is important is they start feeling the people. Then they could become misanthropy. They do not like the people. They develop aversion to the people. And then they lose the interest in the life. So epilepsy with indifference. Epilepsy may be present. It is not cured. But what is available with epilepsy? Rather than the aggressiveness of lysinum or tuberculinum or cuprametallicum or stramonium or hyoscyamus, they now contract the other side of misanthropy, aversion to people, fear of people, anthropophobia. Then you will find, like Amara Galicia, they start remaining alone. This is the state which is very close to Ambra and exactly opposite to pulsatilla. You know, Tarkus has explained Ambra Galicia as a negative pulsatilla. Why? Because Ambra has aversion to company, and exactly opposite you will find pulsatilla has craving for the company. Basically, because in pulsatilla there is a very severe abandoned feeling. So company becomes a very important issue because it provides the oxygen as if. In Ambra and Cicuta, the theme is the same. Our brain fact is the same. Laughing people I cannot tolerate because I cannot be laughing as they are. Because I have lost that natural instinct of happiness. So the mind becomes pessimistic and focuses upon the dark side of the life. But Amra is very deeper than even Cicuta. In my experience, Ambra could be a follower after Cicuta has gone from the excitability, from this hypersensitivity and hyperactivity to the passivity, to the brain fag. The further state of the brain fag, where life is without any go, without any drive, motivation, and will. This is Amara-Gracia.
Can we say different way, opposite way around, that after Ambrosia we can expect in some cases coming of Cicuta?
If, for example, you see anti-epileptic treatment has been given to a child, for example, over years, and the child's epilepsy suppress. And now you give Ambragresia, the state of Cicuta may get developed. Because Ambra is one of the remedies against suppression, like sulfur. It is very interesting. Not only Ambra is a remedy for suppressed eruptions, for suppressions of many kind. Ambra is a very deeper remedy. You know, previous authors called this as a beginning in Sora cases, a remedy for the beginning of the case, like sulfur, like even pulsatilla. It is very interesting. You know, pulsatilla was also being advised to open up a case because it is said that with pulsatilla, some you see non-descriptive and not very clear picture now will emerge as a clear picture, distinct picture may get developed after pulsatilla.
So this list could be developed, and we know that the most important remedies to clear the case are camphora and sepia and nux vomica and sulfur, and now we come to pulsatilla and maybe even ambra grisea and sometimes zincum, metallicum, and many others. So better to know how to start the case.
Correct. And this is a very good case because in acute cases, we do not think of remedies like Cicuta Virosa. When I studied these two rubrics and I found that Cicuta is a first remedy that covers 4 marks and 3 marks, I just opened the Materia Medica. Fortunately, we have given this remedy in absolute homeopathic Materia Medica. And then we went into Hering's guiding symptoms and tried to amalgamate the symptoms of the mind and tried to see what could be the personality structure and the journey in evolution of the personality.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Ajit, in few moments, may I ask you to show once more representation and just to make a differential diagnosis of first 5 remedies.
Okay. Yeah. Now, there are a lot of remedies here. Now, sulfur anxiety is always about future also, because sulfur is engaged in some deep fundamental study like atomic physics, nuclear physics, some space, some chemistry and physics with very deep understanding of the laws and the regulations and something creative. And when he doesn't find his creation in spite of his deep study, then the anxiety for the future gets developed. So sulfur has an anxiety, but it has some rational scientific basis, which is exactly opposite to Cicuta virosa. It is in this way, rubric is the same, but the background of the rubric is very different. You know, there are many movies, especially in our India, Hindi movies are always there with love relations, you see. So there is a sentence, no, I love you. It may be from the boyfriend or from the girlfriend, you see. But the basis in each film is very different. You have the final product of I love you, but the whole process is very different. In the same way, rubric is like a film, like a movie. Well, there is a story, there is a cause, there is a event, and then there is a product of this. So sulfur is based upon this theme, what is going to happen. He has invested a lot of time and money and everything in doing a research, and there is a failure, no? You know, 2 years back, we had a mission to send uh, the satellite over Mars from India, and it miserably failed. So a scientist over there who worked for many years, and then they have deep anxiety, what is going to happen in the future. This is sulfur. Let us study now Stapes aureus. Stapes aureus has anxiety about 2 things. First, about his honor. I have to preserve my honor. This is the reason Stapes aureus can remain yielding and submissive. accept me as a human, and I will give you my respect. You should also respect me. This is one way of understanding Staphysagallia, which is a sweet Staphysagallia. Then if you wound the pride, Staphysagallia becomes wild. Then he can abuse others, beat others, hit others. Then now what is going to happen? I have hit the man out of furious anger. Now what is going to happen to me? He may beat me. He may hit me. This is the anxiety. So anxiety is up two levels. First, after doing something wrong, he will have a fear what could be the reaction of the other person, and about preservation of his identity as a human being with his pride being maintained very well. This is Staphysagallia anxiety.
Just
Then
to mention here,
yes,
we had a discussion several times, I think, about Staphysagallia and inclination in such kind of cases.
yeah,
When the organ of person removed, of if there is a deprivation of something,
yeah, and insult of the
insult, yeah, you
yeah,
discussed.
yeah,
So Staphysagallia could be
yes. In this case also, yes. But this case is very characteristic that there is no anger against the doctors who perform it. This is the reason why I ruled it out. Yeah,
very good point.
yeah.
She
Then comes
blamed, Ajit, even in
yeah.
these letters, she blamed herself and not the
Yes,
doctor.
yes. This is very important. This is very important. This is Netram Kav. In Netram Kav, the person blames the self. So there is a self-reproachment
Mhm.
because Netram Kav is a very conscientious individual. Out of all Netrams, Netram Kav has anxiety for trifles, conscientious about trifles. He wants to do everything as a duty-bound man, as a responsible man. So this is the reason why Netram Kav is close to carcinosinum in commitments and discharging the duties. Although carcinosin has a different level. In Netram carbonicum, it is more at the emotive level. In carcinosin, it is more at the executive level. They want to execute their responsibility and see the final product of the result. Whereas in Natrum carbonicum, because of the carbon element, which is a weak one, their will is weak, not strong like carcinosinum. So they feel it, the conscience is felt. But what they do to remove this one through the action, it is here that they fall short because of carbonic attachment. This is Natrum carbonicum, and definitely they have severe anxiety about future. But rather than spasms and all these things of Cicuta, for example, they have anxiety which goes into the solar plexus and in the entire viscera of the abdomen. So there are gases and dyspepsia and heartburn and a lot of symptoms because the gut and mind axis is direct. This is natrium carbonicum. This is the reason natrium carb is one of the remedies, prominent remedies against IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. Yeah. So this is about natrium carb. About tabacum, you see now, tabacum is also very deep constitutional remedy coming from the Solanaceae family. It is a remedy of both of the characters like Cicuta. At one level, excitability and another level, depression. Also, the third level is suddenness. Anxiety for the future is because I have done something wrong. I have taken tobacco. Now, may I suffer from cancer? Will this taking tobacco will cause cancer? So this is the driven anxiety because of doing something wrong. And uh, tabacum has the other side of the guilt complex. It is not only that I have done something wrong. The further process is of self-reproachment. but it is not as deep as the aurum group. It is not as deep as the calibromatum. It is present, but it is more at the emotive level rather than at the mental level. This is the difference between two. Yeah. So we can discuss all these issues in this way. Yeah.
Great. I think it was very important, and I hope we can see the development of this case, and we will
Yeah, correct. We need
tell
to take
about
a
it.
follow-up. Yeah, yeah. We need to take a follow-up and we have to see the assessment of the outcome with Cicuta Virosa.
Yeah, but right now I can say that she feels better and calmer, and it's
Very
very
nice.
good
Very nice.
studied.
Very nice.
And Ajit, thank you very much for your openness to take these acute and chronic cases. We have so many successful cases with you,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I hope we can share this knowledge with our society.
Correct, correct, correct.
Thank
No,
you,
it,
Ajit.
in this way, everyone has to grow in homeopathy because homeopathy is such a deep science, and the more we dig it out, the more diamonds will come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ajit.
Yes, yes, Roman. Yes, welcome.